Testing.
1, 2, 3.
Testing.
Test.
No.
We'll go back to. If you want to go back to that.
What and I already. I know that's right. He wants me to read.
Okay. You got this ready to go too tonight, right? I mean, I guess, okay. Yes, everything should be ready to go. Mr. Yerger, good evening. Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's. Most of the morning.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We're going to open up open public comment. So this gives anybody an opportunity to speak on any item that's not on the agenda for up to 5 minutes. There's a sign up sheet right here. There's also comment cards as well, and the box is right up here in the front. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Okay, I'll do the best I can with the names here. I have Wes Conklin. Wes is here. Yes, go ahead and come up. Just please state your name and address, please. You can go ahead.
7 Walnut Street here in Fremont. Thank you. I'd just like to speak about the information I'm getting about maybe suppressing free speech here in Fremont. And I don't think we need that here. We got enough of it in Washington, D.C., the socialists. So I just believe we should keep it open for the public. You need the input from the public in Fremont. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, next would be Sandra Murray.
Mayor, just to remind you that the public comment being taken right now cannot speak to items that are currently set on the agenda.
Okay.
Speech isn't on the agenda.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sandra Murray, 1745 North Nye Avenue. I'd like to say first, I'm not really comfortable talking about some of the things that I'm having to talk about, but at the same time, they are in books for our young children at the library. So I'd like to address the issue of sexually explicit books that are currently in the children's area of the Fremont Public Library. This issue has already been addressed with Linda McLean, the director of the library, and she felt that the content in the books was appropriate and would appeal to certain groups in the community. I am leaving papers for each of you to pick up before you leave over here. The first page are the covers of some of the sexual books. The following pages are all taken from the book, Sex is a Funny Word. You will find graphic descriptions of explicit sexual acts along with pictures of adult erect penises and other genitalia. Sex is a Funny Word is the first book I'd like to share with you. This book has been on display front and center in the children's section at all times. This is the book. These are the other books, but this is the main one I'm looking at tonight. It is at eye level for small children. My grandchildren are 8, the youngest one at 8 years old. This is the level, it's right at her eye level, and it's there every time we go, which we will no longer use the public library due to this problem. It is filled with graphic drawings of clearly adult genitalia. There are multiple parts of the book that discuss masturbation, erections, and other disturbing imagery that would even make an adult uncomfortable. I can't imagine what a child would think of this. This is an excerpt from the book. I'm reading it. You may have discovered that touching some of your body, especially the middle parts, can make you feel warm and tingly. Grown-ups call this kind of touch masturbation. Masturbation is when we touch ourselves, usually our middle parts, to get that warm and tingly feeling. For the sake of time, there could be a lot more to read, but not only would it embarrass me, but it would take up too much time. Many of the other books on display front and center in the children's section are books that are very strongly pushing the normalcy of homosexuality. I realize this is a very touchy subject and that a lot of people do not view that as a problem, but as a Christian and a grandmother, I cannot stand by and act like this is okay. Going to the library used to be the most innocent thing a child could do. Now I have to worry that my grandkids may accidentally open a book at the library and read about how the doctor may not have assigned them the correct gender at birth, and also that they will be versed in every single gender identity under the sun. This is so far beyond appropriate. This is the city government deciding to teach our children things that are only the parents' rights to teach. It is usurping the parental rights to teach our children and grandchildren what only we have the right to teach them. It is not the right of the government to teach our children what the government deems to be good. It is the sacred right and duty of parents to raise children, not the government's role. Our library is a city entity and our taxpayers pay for it. Putting sexual books on display for young children to be reading in a public place is sickening, perverse, and it is child grooming. Why should kids be exposed to sexually explicit material? Who does this benefit? Children should not be having their innocence stripped from them for the sake of our library making a political statement. We have to remove these books from our public library. Who on the board at the library is making the decision to include these books in the children's section? I'm asking these board members to take action in this matter. Sally Gannam, Linda McLean, Leanne Rathke, Amanda Moaning, Becky Pence, and Ryan Fiola. And I'm also asking the city council, if they won't take action, that you would take action in funding the public library. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll go to Linda Von Baron. Okay, Joe Tower.
Pass that later.
Okay. David Rogers.
Hi, David Rogers, 845 North Nye Avenue, Fremont, Nebraska. Pardon me, I'm here to talk about this free speech issue. Back in the 2000s, Congress passed legislation for Sarbanes-Oxley. I don't know if many of you are familiar with that, but it was for companies were stealing money from within, people were stealing money within companies, and there was no way to track that money or to see what was. Oh, thank you. Okay, so Sarbanes-Oxley was basically passed in Congress so that people could not go in and steal money without other people being able to see it. What I see happening in corporations, in governments, in city councils is whenever free speech, somebody's ability to question money that's being spent, money that's being allocated, money that's being given away, whenever that is being questioned or silenced, I question the motives behind that. I can understand we want to have our meetings done quickly, but I caution you, when you are going to pass when you are going to change the way things work, that can open up our city council for greater fraud. I just want to caution you, please don't do that. Free speech.
Virginia Coy. Yerger.
My name is Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. Attempts to limit free speech, public speaking, discussion and debate at council meetings is not new. Back in April of 2020, Ordinance 5530 was enacted to muzzle duly elected council members. And in May 2021, City Legal, on its own prerogative, attempted to amend several sections of the Fremont Municipal Code in order to further suppress free speech and public comment. Fortunately, that unsolicited effort was thwarted by the attending public. At the last meeting, this council voted to affirm Fremont's procedures and that they comply with the state statutes and the Open Meetings Act. However, eliminating the public speaking options would appear to constructively close a portion of a public meeting, which runs counter to the intent of the act. In the construction of the act portion of the AG's opinion on the act, it stated that open meetings laws should be broadly interpreted and liberally construed to obtain their objective of openness in favor of the public. This council has been asked repeatedly to read state statutes 84-1408 and 84-1412. 84-1408 says every meeting of the public body shall be open to the public in order that the citizens may exercise their democratic privilege of attending and speaking at meetings of public bodies. 84-1412 sub 1 says the public has the right to attend and the right to speak at meetings of public bodies and any and all or any part of a meeting of a public body except for closed sessions. Effectively closing a portion of a public meeting and removing the opportunity for public comment without cause for personal conduct issues addressed in 84-1412 sub 2 appears that the council would be violating the act by abusing the citizens' right to free speech, speech which is something that our brave military men and women have fought and died for. These apparent right to speak abuses are compounded by the fact that the staff makes decisions about what goes on the council's agenda and where to place it, even though the city has no documented or approved placement rules or even a definition of what constitutes routine. These abuses aren't enough. The scant language
used in the council's agenda descriptions piles on even more abuse. Agenda descriptions intentionally or unintentionally often fail to include the specificity required by the Act and the Attorney General. Council members take an oath to faithfully and impartially perform the duties of their office. That oath does not credibly serve as a means to limit free speech or the public speaking opportunities before council votes are taken, especially when council decisions impact their lives and the spending of their tax dollars. Short meetings should not be the goal. Rather, council meetings should help build trust and ensure that city governance is transparent, complete, and as accurate as it can be in order to avoid the negative findings such as those found by the Nebraska Auditor of Public Accounts in its report to the city on May 12th, 2021.
Again, we'll have until 7 o'clock for open public comment. So if you wish to speak, you're welcome to put your name here up front and I'll call on you. There's also comment cards up here in the front. Go ahead, Barb. Okay.
Barb Bushy, 2037 East First, Fremont, Nebraska. I have one question and then another comment about something else. Why? Why would anyone want to take away our free speech? I'm used to being able to say what I want to say. And I'm assuming Lori will be willing to listen to me and answer questions like Brad has. But the big question as far as is the free speech, I did something on Facebook and this one guy said, well, you're not losing your free speech. Well, if you can't talk, that's a loss of free speech. Second part, the last meeting I wasn't able to attend because of health. I wasn't able to attend an appreciation party for Brad. And I'd like to take this time to say I have learned so much coming to the city council meetings. I've learned what it takes to get in there and do research. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want that job for anything. What you get, you have to have thick skin. You don't get paid that much. But like I said, the last couple of years I've been coming all the time and I've learned, and I want to thank Brad for showing me the importance of transparency. I think he's tried to be a good shepherd of our monies, and I appreciate it. And I want to thank him. And that's it.
I'm Glenn Ty. I live at 2550 Deerfield Avenue. I'm here to speak about street closings, one in particular. On March 13th, this last spring, Luther Road was closed due to a train on the tracks. On March 15th, my wife sent the mayor a message asking if he knew why the train was still there after going on 3 days. In his response, he sent back, "The railroads are difficult to work with, but we will work to communicate with them to help mitigate the duration." And then he sent us a link to the Nebraska Department of Transportation. All summer long, at least once, if not twice a week, the streets closed for 1 or 2 days every week, not counting the trains that are going through. Late Wednesday evening, November 23rd, a train crossed Luther Road and stopped for 3.5 days. Just before this train moved, another train pulled up beside it on the next set of rails. It was there another 2.5 days. So that street was closed for 5 days. On November 28th at 9:30 a.m., my wife sent a message to all the city council members and the governing body. She asked if they knew this was happening. Our ward council people responded by phone and email. Jody Sanders also responded. Now, my wife sent the message at 9:33 a.m. Jody responded at 10:14 a.m. According to the power plant, the train in question actually arrived on Saturday. Well, that was wrong. Since then, the power plant personnel have been calling UP for an update on when the train will move so that the coal on the train may be unloaded at the plant. That was wrong because when both trains moved, neither one of them was for delivery of coal. What's really interesting is at 11:58 a.m. that same day, the city of Fremont posted on their Facebook page, the railroad crossing at Luther Road is currently closed to a train. Union Pacific has been contacted and Johnson Road is open and can be used. Who contacted the railroad? The mayor sure didn't. So here we go again, December 15th, 16th, 17th. Luther Road is closed again, another train. December 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and still tonight, that damn train still sitting across Luther Road. Now, according to the Nebraska Department of Transportation, every railroad shall be operated in such a manner to minimize obstruction of emergency vehicles to highway, rail, public, and grade crossings. Trains blocking a public crossing for more than 10 minutes and not meeting the requirements of Nebraska code shall break the train to provide access to the public. A train cut to clear public crossings shall not leave engines or equipment within 250 feet. Okay, now the reason I bring this up is because of the vehicle safety at the intersection of Morningside Road and Luther Road. The amount of near misses we observe there from traffic changing their minds when they start to come off of Morningside Road onto Luther, and there sits the train. They try and swerve back into the traffic path on Morningside Road, and some days it's terrifying. The amount of squealing tires, horn honking, and also some name calling when the windows are down is unbelievable. Does the city want to be liable for injuries caused at this intersection because of the trains? Is city government going to stand up and do something about this potential lethal problem? It's not funny to live out there and watch this crap every day. Morningside Road carries just about as much traffic as the 4-lane on Highway 275. If something can't be done, close the street. That'd be the best thing you could do. Close the street. Then the city would have their own private little road right there for their new building. The corn plant that's there would have their own private little road. The Humane Society would have their own private little road. What could you get that's safer? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Susan Jacobus, 1805 North D Street. Ms. Murray spoke about censorship and the freedom of speech, and banning it is a form of censorship. I'm going to speak initially to what Ms. Murray had to say, and that was about banning books. Some of you seated on the council now grew up in the 60s, like I did. You grew up watching the race riots on TV. You grew up with books that were banned from our library shelves. You grew up learning about the Holocaust and not understanding how the horrors of that could have happened, history in school. And yet today we still have those racial strifes. A lot of the books that we're not allowed to read that are on our shelves in the library and in our schools deals with that very thing. Racism, hatred, anti-Semitism. Some of us have a lot of relatives that have served in the military. My Uncle Jim was in the CIA and the military during World War II. And my Aunt Molly hid in the forest outside of Cologne, Germany, when the Nazis invaded. She lost her brothers. She was 11 years old. She hid out in the forest and protected other children, and one of her brothers was shot stealing food from inside the town. Nazism began and stood on the platform of inciting hatred and fear. And yes, censorship. Our government is founded on basic tenets, and part of those tenets included creating a Bill of Rights, and that includes underlying censorship, freedom of speech, freedom of press. Censorship doesn't belong in the city government. It doesn't belong in our state government. It doesn't belong in federal. And it also, much to my chagrin, doesn't belong in the library. Children have a safe haven in the library. There's a lot of access to books. Yes, not all books are appropriate. Yes. Are they appropriate for everybody? No, but there are specific audiences that they are. If you're bringing young children to the library and you have a concern, then perhaps maybe you should join them and be with them and be aware of what they're checking out, if it's a problem. However, again, my concern is censorship. Because you don't like what somebody has to say or because they oppose your point of view, is not a right to censor them. Transparency has been an issue, an ongoing issue for Fremont for many years. Your council, now seated and really seated, can do better. And hopefully you will. Thank you.
Steve Ray, 1445 North Irving Street, Fremont. Well, I thought open public discussion originally was so people could speak and bring concerns forward on the cards and here. And also they would get some feedback eventually on if there was a problem, like Mr. Kai's brought up and something, what was done, what's being done. And I've never seen any of that brought forward by the council in public. Maybe they've contacted individuals that's brought it forward, but nothing actually being said by the council. Well, this was brought up to us in the comment period and we've actually addressed that somehow. That's first. Next thing is some new people on the council. And I know there's a couple people here who've been on the planning commission. You're going to be getting a couple things from the planning commission that they met last week. I don't know how they can pass them. They didn't have a total plan. The people that were wanting things done, the one company has paved their whole thing over almost with concrete. They put crushed rock or something over the right of way that belongs to the city. They got no permits. But yet the planning commission, well, they're going to work with them now. And they've come up with a plan. And when it's all said and done, they'll have about 4 to 5% landscaping, which is way below what the code calls for. I don't find that very acceptable. And at the meeting even, they said, well, we'll try and work with these people. And they kind of give a oral thing of what they wanted to do. No plan in front of them exactly, but they went ahead and passed that. That's going to come to you. As far as I'm concerned, it needs to go back to the planning commission with the plan that they actually have, where they're going to put their shrubs and exactly what they're going to have before it can actually be passed. The other property that was there, the gentleman said, well, I was thinking about it on the way over here, and I'd like to do this, and I'd change this over here and move this over here. And the planning commission said, well, as we understand it, you'd be all right with that, Jennifer. And she said, well, if they do this. Again, no plan before them, really. The plan that was before them is not what they actually approved. And there was not any specific amendments as to how much they had to do and where the trees would be put. There was a general idea. I got lost in, well, we want to put this one on this fence and we want to move it back. And the city right of ways kind of causes a problem. So they approved all that and it'll come to you. And I assume in that form, even if the gentleman that is asking for it has a plan in hand then from somebody, it won't be the exact one that the planning commission okayed. And we've had that problem up north there when all that drainage was. That come back 3 and 4 and 5 times and it was never the same. They changed this, they changed that. Well, who did this? Who did that? So I'm encouraging you as a council to go to the planning commission and tell them you would like notes, some minutes of their meetings, who talked against it, what kind of discussion they had. Not only just, well, it passed 6-0 or something. You need to be informed as to actually what went on there. And I see no reason why they can't forward minutes and stuff to you. Otherwise, you don't get the full story. And when it gets here, then there's council people that say, oh, well, what's this and what's this? And that's what drags a lot of your meetings on. So I encourage you as a new council to see what's going on there, because I attended that meeting and I don't know exactly what's going to be brought before you, but it wasn't a plan they were actually looking at and saying, oh, this is what we want. No. And there was no amendments made that you're going to put trees here, 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 and here, and you're going to put a shrub here. And you're going to have a sidewalk area here. None of that was, it was kind of a general, well, this is what I'd like to do. And this is what I might do. And so I'd encourage you to look into this before it comes before you.
Brianna Kindler.
Okay, I was not going to talk. But then, oh, Brianna Kindler, 1506 North Nye. I am a mom of 3. I was not going to talk because my mom, I think, did a really good job of eloquently stating the points of what we feel is appropriate to be in a children's section in a public library. But since she was compared to Nazis, and since we compared this situation to being the censorship that was used during the Holocaust, I felt that I needed to speak. There is a difference between censoring what we are allowed to say to other adults, and there's a difference between censoring what I am allowed to say to a child. If I walk up to your child and say, excuse me, can I teach you this sexually explicit thing? I would hope that you would punch me in the face. I would hope you would not let me continue on. I need to be censored. There are things that are appropriate for adults and there are things that are appropriate for children. These pictures in this book are not appropriate for my 5 and 8-year-old son to be seeing as I am following them around the library and they pick up a book and open it up and say, Mom, what is this? Why is that one looking like that? What do I need to say? What about my 8-year-old niece, who is the most precious and innocent little girl? And she opens that up and says, Mom, what is this? I do not raise my children the way I raise them for them to go to the library and open a book and see crap about masturbation. That's sick. And that is not censorship to tell you guys and to tell people at the library that that shouldn't be in this children's section. If people as adults need to go read that stuff to themselves, go ahead. I can't control that. But no one should be exposing their children to that. That's child abuse. That's sexual abuse. And it's grooming them to teach them sexual things that they are not ready for. Parents can teach their kids that in their own time. It does not need to be happening at the public library. Thank you.
Order. All right, at 7 o'clock, that closes open public comment. We'll open up with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll go ahead and open up the Board of Equalization meeting. The time is 7 o'clock. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the rear wall next to the agendas. At this time, we will have roll call for the Board of Equalization meeting.
Sukram?
Does this work?
Yep, I could do that on here too.
Okay, yep, go ahead and cast your votes. We just got the voting machine back working again, so. Go ahead and push present.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead and push yes, please. Anything?
It's not-
Okay, well, we thought we had our voting machine figured out, but bear with us. Our clerk is away right now. So Tina, we're gonna have to do voice votes, it looks like,
Okay.
unless we get this figured out. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Jensen,
Yes, here.
Lathrop. Ganem. Von Baron,
Here.
Sukram,
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
And Gibson. And Ellis. Motion shows there's 8. For roll call.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 1 on the Board of Equalization meeting, resolution 2022-230, levying a special tax and assessment in the amount of $362.11 against 249 West Washington to pay the cost of weed and debris removal and assessment. Is there any report from staff on this item? I don't see any report from staff. This is routine item. So is there any questions in regards to this? The council. Okay, any comments from the public? Okay. Any additional comments from council? If there's no additional comments, I would take a motion in regards to this item. Councilwoman Ganem.
Move to approve resolution 2022-230.
Councilman Jensen.
I'll second.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tina, with the voice vote. It's fine.
Okay. I apologize. Okay, so Gibson.
Yes.
Ellis. Jensen,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ganem
Yes.
and Sukram.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0.
Okay. Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the motion to adjourn the Board of Equalization.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
All right, Tina, go ahead. Okay,
So adjourn it.
this would be adjourned, so go ahead with the voice vote.
Okay,
Yep.
here we go. All right, so Gibson. Jensen,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ellis. And Sukram.
Yes.
Motion shows 8
8-0.
and Carol. Yeah,
All right.
8-0 carries.
All right, we're adjourned the Board of Equalization meeting. I'll go ahead and open up the City Council regular meeting. The time is 7:04. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the rear wall next to the agendas. Are you ready for roll call?
We'll do it or not. Let me know.
You want to do?
We
I-
try.
Okay, if you go ahead and try this, the equipment to see one more time if we can get this working for today.
No, okay.
right.
Okay, apologize. All right, Ganem,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen,
Here.
Gibson. Ellis. Vaughn. Von Baron
Here.
and Lathrop.
Here.
Roll call shows 8-0.
Okay. Item 1 is a motion to adopt the current agenda for the December 27th, 2022 regular meeting. Councilman Vaughn.
Yes, I would like to request that agenda item number 26, which proposes ordinance 5635, be removed from the agenda. To be clear, this request is not a tabling or continuation of this item to a later date. It is an outright removal of said proposed ordinance. The city of Fremont does have a problem with excessive removal of consent agenda items, which bogs down our political process. These consent agenda removals are primarily the work of a very few members of our community. The intent of this proposed ordinance was aimed at getting these requests and questions brought to the attention of the appropriate city staff or council member so they could be explained or even potentially amended before city council meetings take place. The city wants and needs input from members of the public. To whatever extent possible, I can only ask that these inquiries take place in that fashion. If an item on the consent agenda is unclear, or if there are pertinent questions anyone feels the need for clarification on, please reach out ahead of the meeting. I believe you will find a city staff and city council willing to at least listen. I would make the motion to approve the agenda with removal of item 26.
Councilman Jensen.
This is a good move at this time, I believe, and we'll, there are other avenues available for us to deal with abuses of this privilege. So I will thank Councilman Vaughn for his work and second his motion.
Okay, the motion is to adopt the current agenda without item 26.
Okay.
Comment? Okay,
Ellis,
no.
Ganem,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Von Baron
No.
and Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion shows 6-2.
Okay, we'll move on to mayor's comments. First, I'd like to start off, we have 2 service awards for fantastic service to the city of Fremont. I'd like to recognize. First, we have Melissa Ball, 10 years of service. Melissa started with the city of Fremont as a part-time parking control officer. Melissa was promoted full-time in 2017 to code enforcement assistant within our building inspections department. She moved over to the police department in 2019 with the same job title. She was then promoted to a community service officer in 2021. So thank you, Ms. Ball, for 10 years of service. Jason Meyer, 5 years of service. Yeah, there we go. Jason Meyer, 5 years of service. Jason started with the city of Fremont as a reserve firefighter from 2006 to 2008. And then in 2017, Jason was reinstated as a firefighter EMT. So let's congratulate Mr. Meyer on that 5 years of service. Both these members were not able to join us today, but again, we can thank them for their service to the city. At this time, I, in my mayor's comments, would like to offer the floor to Councilman Gibson, who has an announcement to make.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Gibson, can you turn on your speaker?
There you go. I've had the opportunity to serve on many boards of over a dozen organizations in Fremont since I moved here 40 years ago. One of the most rewarding was representing the people of the First Ward in Fremont on the Fremont City Council these past 2 years. Unfortunately, due to some health issues, I will be resigning at the conclusion of this December 27th meeting. I'd like to thank Mayor Spellerberg and my current and former council members for their collaboration and help. Thank my family and friends for their continued support, and most of all, the citizens of Fremont
for allowing me to serve on the council. I am willing to help in any capacity in the future as the mayor or council needs. Thank you for everything and God bless.
I want to thank you, Councilman Gibson, for your service, not only to this city council over the last 2 years, but to your service and commitment to the city of Fremont. And all the boards and all the impact that you have made, has been tremendous, and you have amazing legacy in our community. And so, again, I want to thank Councilman Gibson for his service. I will be giving more information in the coming days in regards to filling the vacancy. But tonight was just to honor Councilman Gibson for his service to Fremont. So. All right. Okay, that's all for my comments. Moving on, we'll go into public hearings. Item 2, resolution 2022-231, considering an application of a Class D liquor license filled by OAS LLC, doing business as Fremont Gas and Market at 740 North Davenport Avenue. Is there any staff report in regards to this item?
I do have something that was provided from Jennifer.
Okay, would you like that to be considered into?
That is up to you. I
Okay.
asked Molly about it, but then
There's no staff report on this item at this point.
she said she forgot to put it on there, included.
Oh, there needs to be something included. Okay,
But she had made copies just in case.
okay.
And I'm not sure how you want to do it.
Any questions from staff on the, from city council on this item? Councilman Jensen?
If we don't have a staff report, do we need to continue this? I'm just asking legal or whoever.
So Tina had mentioned that we do have something for the record here. It's the report. Go ahead, legal.
You're welcome to receive what Ms. Dam is offering, but you all have to choose to do that, make a motion, receive it. And then you can consider it. I believe she had a report in the packet already, so that would have been her report anyway. She just has additional items that she said that she did not include in the report. So you're welcome to receive them. You don't have to. It's your choice, your review.
Okay. Councilman Ellis, okay. Councilman Gibson, do you have a comment on this as well? Your light is on. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I would just take a motion to receive the documents. Councilman Sukram,
I'll make the motion to receive.
Okay.
Councilman Vaughn,
I will second.
okay. We have to do voice on this.
Well, I'm hoping.
Go ahead, do you do voice vote,
Yes.
please?
Okay, so we're on the second. Apologize, I lost my voting. Okay, so if I can have Gibson, please.
Gibson, vote
Gibson?
to receive. Vote to receive.
I'm sorry, I vote for receive.
Yes, okay. Ellis? Hannah? Vaughn?
Yes.
Von Baron? Sukram? Lathrop?
Yes.
And Jensen?
Yes.
Motion shows all 8, sir.
Okay, so we did pass out, you have the liquor application report for this item. So I will now open the public hearing on this resolution 2022-231. Are there any comments from the public in regards to this liquor license? Okay. Seeing no comments, I'll close the public hearing. Additional comments from council. Councilman Gibson. Okay. So with this legal, we have everything we need in the city of Fremont to move this forward as long as if the council wants to act, they can act, correct?
The council is welcome to act based upon what they have. Yes.
Are there any other questions from council? If there's no other questions, I would take a motion in regards to this item. Councilman Jensen,
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2022-231.
Councilman Gibson,
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Jensen,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Gibson. Vaughn.
Yes.
Ellis. And Von Baron.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0.
okay, moving on to the consent agenda. All items in the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay. Any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Councilwoman Ganem.
Number 6.
Are there any other items? Okay, seeing none, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda. Items 3 through 5, 7 through 18. Councilman Ellis?
Did you go to public?
I did, yes. I have, yes. Are there any items to be removed in the consent agenda by the public? Okay. Again, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda 3 through 5, 7 through 18. Councilman Jensen.
So moved. So moved.
Okay. Councilman Sukram.
I will second.
Okay,
Ready.
try it again. Okay, Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis. Von Baron,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
and Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Bear.
Okay, we'll go to item 6, which is a resolution 2022-232 to allow for the billing of fire services of the Fremont Fire Department and adoption of the fee schedule. We'll now have staff report from Chief Burt.
Hi, Todd Burnt, Fire Chief. What you see before you, this is an annual thing that we do about this time of year. This is to authorize the city of Fremont to fire bill. It's required by state statute. The fees that you see in there are fees that have been approved earlier this year and they are in the master fee. So this is just basically to approve the process to fire bill insurance companies. So when we have a structure fire, motor vehicle accidents, we'll get insurance information. We'll submit that to our billing company and they submit that to their insurance company to collect. In most insurance companies, they have like emergency response, anywhere from $500 to $1,500, $2,000. Some insurance companies do not have that. So what we're doing is just collecting that money from insurance. We're not collecting from any individuals or anything like that.
Okay. Councilman Jensen.
Yeah, I just wanted to state it's clearly for the public. It's billed to insurance. If for some reason the public does not have insurance that covers that, it is not billed to the private citizens.
That is correct. That is correct. It's just trying to just collect that little bit that to help support what we do from insurance.
Councilwoman Ganem.
So I just want to be clear, you no longer have agency work for you. Is that correct? A collection agency?
Yes, we do.
So you do, but you don't collect from individuals if they don't have insurance.
We have a service that does our billing for us. They do our EMS and fire billing. So when we have like a structure fire, we'll submit all the information to them and they take care of all the billing. the insurance companies and stuff like that.
And individuals.
If we don't have insurance information, we'll submit it to the individual who they have to submit it to in their insurance company. But if they don't have insurance, we do not collect from those individuals.
Excuse me, I think the difference is, I know that the credit agency is involved only on ambulance billing, not for fire billing.
This is more ambulance billing.
Yes. Two different things, EMS and fire billing.
Thank you. That made it more clear. Thanks, Jody.
Okay, any other, Councilman Ellis?
These funds go directly to the fire department or do they go to general funds?
The fire department is in the general fund, but it gets recorded as fire department revenue.
In this last year, we collected almost 36, the last fiscal year, we almost collected almost $36,000, which was probably our best year yet. Seems like every year we're collecting a little bit more.
Any other questions for Chief Burnt from the city council? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Sure.
Comments from the public. Any comments in regards to this item? From the public? Okay. Seeing none, any additional comments from council? If there are none, I would take a motion in regards to this item. Councilman Vaughn,
Motion to approve.
Councilman Gibson.
All right, Gibson. Ellis. Lathrop. Yes. Jensen.
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Sukram. Sukram, yes. Ganem.
Yes.
Okay, vote shows 8-0, Mayor.
Right. Okay, moving on to new business, is number 19, a resolution 2022-245 authorizing the naming of the alley adjacent to the Dodge County Courthouse as Fred Mitty Way in recognition of 48 years of public service. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jody Sanders, City Administrator. I was contacted by the chair of the board of the Dodge County Board of Supervisors, Bob Missile, making this request of the city. And Mr. Missile is here. If you'd like to say a few words, perhaps.
Thanks, Jody. Bob Missile, 427 North Birchwood, Fremont, Nebraska, and the current chair of the Dodge County Board of Supervisors. I have served in my capacity since 2004 and had the pleasure to work with Dodge County Clerk Fred Mitty and come to greatly appreciate his public service. For 48 years, he has served as the Dodge County Clerk and the Dodge County Election Commissioner, and has done so admirably. In trying to think of ways to honor him, I thought it would be kind of fun to rename the alley in Fred's honor. On a side note, Fred was just awarded at the Nebraska Association of County Officials statewide meeting that involves all 93 counties in Nebraska. Fred was awarded one of 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards and recognized for his service and excellence. If you've read the Fremont Tribune lately, you've seen a number of stories honoring Fred for his service. So I thank you for considering this request and would take any questions if you had them.
Are there any questions for Chairman Missile?
Thank you.
Any comments from the public on this item? Additional comments from council? Yeah, I'd take a motion in regards to this item. Councilman Sukram.
I'll make the motion on resolution 2022-245.
Okay, Councilman Vaughn.
Having had the pleasure of read in the past for a short time. All those positive. Adamant second from me.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready. Lathrop,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Canham,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson, Vaughn,
Yes.
and Von Baer.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
And I'll just second that. I mean, 48 years of service is quite a career. I did have an opportunity to read the Tribune article. I think it was today, the question and answer about his career, and just thank Fred for his service to the city of Fremont. And I think this is a very appropriate way to honor him. So. Right, moving on to item 20 is ordinance 5633 for approval of utility salary ordinance. And there's also considered to request to move to final reading. We'll now have a staff report from Jennifer McDuffie.
Jennifer McDuffie, Director of Human Resources. So tonight, this is the utility salary ordinance. This is for the utility side of the organization. As your staff report explains and how we've kind of had discussions in past, anytime we have openings in the organization, we try to take a look back and make sure that how we fill that hole makes sense for where we're at today and where we want to go. Reevaluate if there's a better way to do things. And we actually have had a couple of those opportunities recently. One was we have a vacancy in the assistant power plant superintendent position. Have been in some discussions with the new superintendent, and he would like to do a little bit of reorganization. He would like to, instead of having an assistant superintendent position, he would like to go more towards an operations manager. Very similar positions, but the operations manager would not supervise the maintenance and, oh goodness, now I'm going to mess up the other management position over there. So I'm going to apologize and not mention what it is. Basically, we're going to take some of that higher level supervision out. And this position will be strictly related into supervising the operations of the power plants. Because of this change, then we are proposing that we drop that position down one pay grade so that it doesn't have many responsibilities, but it still does have some supervisory responsibilities, and it is higher than the positions it supervises. So we propose that at a pay grade 34.5. The other position change that we have put on here is we've had an opening on the city side as an automotive maintenance supervisor. We've been looking at this and looking at where we're at today and where we want to be when it comes to our maintenance functions, and feel that would be beneficial to move those functions together and combine the city and the utility functions would be more efficient. We would get more consistency throughout and continuity throughout the organization. So we are proposing a fleet manager position, and because this would be kind of like a shared service similar to HR, IT, and finance, that would go on the IT. That would go on the utility side of the organization on that salary ordinance. You'll also see, we all know minimum wage is going up here at the end of the week. So we do have one position on the utility salary ordinance that the minimum is below the minimum wage. We haven't been able to hire anybody at that for quite a while. So we are proposing to just move that minimum from 9 to 12. That will buy us a little bit of time. And as your staff report says, we've already started discussions as far as how we're going to deal with this minimum wage increase as it goes up. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Right. Thank you. Any questions on this item? Okay. Thank you. Comments from the public on this item? Okay. Seeing no comments, additional comments from council? Okay. There's no comments. I would take a motion to introduce and hold first reading. Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the motion to introduce and hold first reading of ordinance 5633.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
Gotta do a vote first.
Okay. I have Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Lathrop. Yes. Ganem. Yes. Ellis. And Gibson. Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
Okay. Ready? We'll now have first reading.
An ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska pertaining to pay plan for officers, employees appealing ordinance number and all the ordinances and the parts of the ordinances in conflict herewith, providing the publication in pamphlet form and providing for the effective date.
Okay. Councilman Von Baron.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Councilman Jensen.
Yes, I'll make the motion to suspend the rules and move ordinance 5633 to the third and final reading.
Okay. Councilwoman Ganem.
I will second that.
Got to do a vote.
Okay. Gibson. Ellis. Vaughn.
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
and Sukram.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0.
Now we'll have final reading.
Okay. An ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska pertaining to pay plan for officers and employees appealing ordinance number and all the other ordinances for the parts of the ordinances in conflict herewith, providing the publication in pamphlet form and providing for an effective date.
All right. We're ready for the final vote. Tina, if you want to go ahead and call the roll again.
Okay. Vaughn,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Gibson, Ellis, Ganem,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
and Lathrop.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0.
Okay, moving on to item 21 is resolution 2022-246, approving and confirming the appointment of the interim city engineer, public works director as Justin Zetterman. I have staff report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jody Sanders, City Administrator. With the retirement of Dave Godekin as our City Engineer Public Works Director, we need to have an individual that has been appointed to that position. If you recall, Justin Sutterman was hired as the Assistant Public Works Director, and he is a licensed professional engineer and is qualified to serve in the capacity that we're asking him to. And we will be undergoing a search for a permanent city engineer, public works director. But in the meantime, the mayor has asked Justin to assume that position on an interim basis.
Any questions from the city council on this? Councilman Vaughn.
I was curious where the 5% increase over normal salary came from, if that was a standard or if that was just chosen.
The 5% is very standard. It's in keeping with the all of the union groups have that, and we also apply that to non-union groups. If you're doing the complete job of, you know, not just covering a few things, but doing the complete job of someone at a higher pay grade, rather than put you in a different pay grade or anything, we just add 5% to the salary of wherever you're at the time.
Any other questions on this item? Okay. Any comments from the public on this item? Okay. Seeing no comments, any additional comments from council? Councilwoman Ganem.
With no further comments, I would move make motion to resolution number 246.
Councilman Sukram.
I will second.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson, and Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to item 22 is ordinance 5634 to change the speed limit for Johnson Road from East Military Avenue to East 16th Street to 35 miles per hour. Now staff report.
Good evening, Justin Zetterman. I guess interim city engineer, public works director.
You got that right.
So this came out of the traffic committee, which is made up of Chief Elliott, the former director of public works, another city engineer or city engineer on city staff, as well as the street superintendent. And they found doing a speed study that for the most part, people are driving 35 miles an hour on Johnson Road through this stretch. There are not a lot of driveways. They all felt that it would be perfectly safe to do this, and the police wouldn't be issuing quite as many citations as they had been for people going 36 miles an hour or whatever. So that based on their recommendation, I am bringing this forward to you tonight.
Questions for Mr. Zetterman, Councilman Vaughn.
What's the current speed limit, please?
Currently, it's 30 miles an hour for that section, and we're turned to 30 once you get to the roundabout to Deers Parkway.
Thank you.
Councilman Von Baron.
Just curious, how do we, what are the criteria for establishing 35 as being safe or 30 being safe? I mean, it almost looks like it's a concession to the public for what they've been doing already. And I understand there's not a lot of access on that road. Just curious for the criteria.
I guess most of my career outside of Fremont, 35 miles an hour is typically what you would see on a 2-lane. There doesn't have residential driveways. It's just a 2-lane collector street. And the 35 seems appropriate. And briefly speaking with Chief Elliott, he didn't have any concerns over the safety of the road. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this item from council? Any comments from the public on this item? Take a motion to receive the documents. Councilman Ellis?
Motion to receive.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Von Baron.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay. Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson,
Yes.
Vaughn. Motion shows 8-0.
Go ahead.
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. My comments will be brief on this item, but I wanted to bring a couple of issues to your attention with the auspices that council might want to consider continuing this item for the reasons I'm going to give you in a moment. One, in the first one, this is a school area. That is, it starts at the Catholic Church, goes past the school, drives down to 2 more churches, and goes on to the middle school. So it's effectively, it is a student route. I'm kind of surprised that in fact that the study would show and the result would be, as long as we break the law, we should raise the speed limit. And that's typically not the reason that you would do that. So I was kind of surprised when I saw that. I would urge you to consider whether that's the appropriate speed limit for an area that's going to be developed, and it would be in the school zones. I want to call your attention to the material that I handed out, just so that you're aware. We changed the speed ordinance back in August of 30th meeting of 2022. The current code has not yet been updated since that point. So any changes that you're making need to be made to the documents that I handed out, which were complete and thorough with regards to the applications for speed limit changes on October 30th. You'll notice if you look at the material there, for the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit zones, that items L, M, N, and O all address Johnson Drive. Military Avenue south to the city limits. Military Avenue north to the city limits. 16th Street south to the city limits. North corporate limits to the south corporate limits. Those are all speed limit definitions for 30 miles an hour on Johnson Drive. You'll be adding, if you make this ordinance change tonight, an additional change to 35 miles an hour to add an item K for 35 miles an hour for Johnson Drive, for the same sections of street that are in the 30-mile-an-hour zone without correction. I would urge you, please don't do that. The code is confusing enough as it is. If we're not going to drive 30 miles an hour anywhere on those roads, we should change it. I heard tonight that a portion of Johnson Drive, at least from 16th Street north to the city limits, is going to remain at 30 miles an hour. Okay, the table needs to reflect that because the language doesn't currently reflect that appropriately. So because of the table changes that need to be accommodated here, and because I think you really should consider whether this is an effective 35 miles an hour is the effective speed limit for something that's in the school zone, I would ask you to continue this item tonight, but certainly be working off the current tables that were passed at the October 30th meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional comments from the public on this item? Okay. All right, seeing none, additional comments from council. Councilman Jensen?
I guess my only thing on this item, we're recommended by staff to go to 35. I will not make a motion to suspend rules and go to one reading. We'll just do this in 3 readings. In my opinion, council can decide, but I think we're all right to pass this once, and we'll have be able to have some more discussion on it over the next 2 meetings.
Councilman Vaughn?
Was that a motion, Mark?
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I think you covered all my comments. Thank you.
Okay, additional comments from council. Okay, I take a motion in regards to this item. Councilman Vaughn?
Motion to approve. For first reading.
Okay. Councilman Jensen?
I'll second.
Okay.
Gannon,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Gibson, Von Baron,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ellis, Sukram.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
Well, now you ready for first reading?
Sure.
All right, we'll have first reading.
Okay, and that one is
22.
okay. An ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska to amend chapter 5, section 5-301, subsection 5 of Fremont Municipal Code of the City of Fremont, Nebraska, repealing provisions of the conflict with such amendments, retaining non-conflicting provisions, providing for an effective date of such amendments, and providing for publication of the ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay. We had a vote, we had reading. Okay, we can move on. All right, item 23 is resolution 2022-247, authorizing placement of a stop sign at the intersection of 29th Street and Jaeger Road for westbound traffic on 29th Street. Staff report.
This is simply to place a stop sign for westbound traffic leaving the tech park at Jaeger Road on 29th Street. This hasn't gone through our traffic committee, but as we just removed the barricades, a week or so ago, it seemed prudent that I get this to you as quickly as I could, so we could get the stop sign up, just so there's no confusion.
Questions for staff on this item? Okay. Any comments from the public on this item?
Susan Jacobus, 1805 North D Street. I know there's a stop sign there and I can appreciate the concerns and it does need to be there. My question is, why not a stop sign at the end of it when it adjoins Lincoln Street? If you're going to put a stop sign there so that there's no turn, eventually Lincoln Street will move to the north. So I was just curious why there wouldn't be a stop sign there.
Any other comments from the public? Okay. All right, seeing none, additional comments from council on this? If there's no other comments, I would take a motion. Councilman Von Baron.
Motion to approve.
Councilman Vaughn.
I will second.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Vaughn. Yes. Von Baron,
Yes.
Ellis. Ganem,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
and Gibson.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
Next is item 24 is resolution 2022-248 authorizing placement of stop signs at the intersections of East 19th Street and North Park Avenue, North D Street, North C Street, North Union Street, and North Platte Street for traffic on the northbound, southbound streets. I'll have staff report.
This particular resolution did come out of the traffic committee. In looking at accidents, they were finding that there were more accidents in these locations than they would expected, and 19th feels and acts like the through street. And so the idea is just make it clear to people going north and south that you do need to stop for that traffic and hopefully reduce some of those accidents. At the Utility and Infrastructure Board, as I think the staff report says, the question came up of, well, 16th, we have them, basically the link through the city. Should we do that at 19th? So we'll investigate that a little more with our traffic committee and potentially be coming back, looking to put in more in the futures.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Councilman Vaughn?
Did have one question on the map. It does not show Irving as one of the intersections with the stop sign request. Curious as to why that would be.
It is my understanding that they were based on accident reports and they must not have seen that increase in accidents at that location. But we will be, like I said, going back and discussing all of these intersections just to make sure it's clear.
With the addition of the hiking and biking trail that's going to be running parallel with 19th Street, I think that would make a lot of sense. So appreciate that coming back later. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Any comments from the public on this item? Okay. Seeing no comments, additional comments from council? Councilman Jensen?
Yeah, to Councilman Vaughn's question, I've spoken with staff about this before. That is basically the plan. Turn 19th Street will behave basically like 16th is now. And again, with the bike trails and stuff that and the extra widening in 19th, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. Additional comments from council? If not, I would take a motion. Councilman Sukram?
I was going to make the motion.
It's yours. If you
Okay,
want.
I'll make the motion for resolution 2022-248.
Councilwoman Ganem.
Second the motion.
All right, yep. Vaughn. Yes. Von Baron,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Gibson. Ellis. Gannon,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to item 25 is resolution 2022-249, authorizing the purchase of primary general liability with Everest National Insurance Company and excess insurance with Associated Electric and Gas Insurance Services Limited. This time we will have staff report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council, Dan Global Finance Director. The utilities general liability and excess liability is up for renewal at the end of this month, and our broker Aon worked with the incumbent insurers to negotiate that renewal. For the general liability, that's with Everest National, and that premium comes in at $29,340 for the year. In addition to that, on the excess liability side with Aegis, the policy premium would be $141,838 there. They also do offer a credit of $11,162, which is included in that number, which would bring the total combined premium for the annual renewal to $175,433. At this time, staff's asking council to recommend that for approval.
Okay. Questions for our finance director? Okay, comments from the public? Right, seeing no comments, additional comments from council? Councilman Vaughn?
So this group that we have doing this research on our behalf, do they solicit multiple bids from multiple potential insurers?
In this case, they did not. They just worked with the incumbent insurers. There's a strong alliance between the two with Everest and Aon, or excuse me, Aegis, that they worked with the renewal on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Additional questions or comments from the city council on this item? If there's none, I would take a motion. Councilman Jensen.
Make the motion to approve resolution 2022-249.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
Gannon,
Yes.
Lathrop. Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Ellis. Gibson. Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, take a motion to adjourn.
Ellis.
Oh, wait, I need a motion. Councilman Sukram.
I'll make the motion.
Sukram,
Second.
Councilman Von Baron.
Von Baron.
Second.
Excellent. Sorry. Gibson. Ellis. Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn. Lathrop.
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Gannon.
Yes.
Motion shows 8-0, Mayor.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Good job. Okay, good job. Very good job. You got it. Very good job.
Thank you. All right. Well, here the roll call was working this afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll get. We got this working just.
Seriously, this morning. It was helpful.
Next meeting we'll have it ready.
Yeah, well, let's try that. He told me that I just have to shut the power off on it, and I ended it, so. I think. All right. How you been feeling? Oh, my gosh. I've had a lot of, yeah, I've been very fortunate. Yeah.